Hey you! Yes you. You look like a bright young fellow. I think you should lead a country. What? What did you say? You say you only like thigh highs and blahage? Well, only more the reason. See, us femboys in the modern day and age, we are underrepresented in this world. We used to run Rome and the Greek Empire and Japan. See, so don't you want to run your own country as well? We don't even need, any of that bureaucratic bullshit. You can be a little twink dictator. No, be who you want to be. And I just have the plan. I got a 3-step plan to help you achieve this dream. So what do you say? We got a deal? Too bad. I'm telling you anyway. Part 1, get in power. Now in this day and age, not any Joe Schmo can just go out in the world and start a kingdom or a republic. People have tried, and they are not great. Sorry, Malasia, you are not that good. See, you need to take power, and there's 2 main ways of getting this. There are more, but these 2 are going to be the most direct. It's either a coup or a revolt. Now, a coup, to put it in simpler terms, is when you get another branch of the government to back you up in taking on another branch of the government. It's messy stuff, and it really relies on speed, like being a power bottom. So, if you want to do the coup route, then you're going to need to convince the military to join you in some way. I don't know how you'll get them to agree to a femboy coup, but at best there are some high-ranking femboys or trans people in the military. At worst, I hope your mouth game is okay. Your second option, and the one I like the most because of the theatrics of it all, is a revolt. A good revolt is always good for the ages. French, Russian, American, though they come in all kinds of varieties. I would suggest getting your fellow femboys or trans people or just gay people and creating your own government beforehand. This will be useful because once you actually win the war, you don't need to create a government. I also highly advise, if you're going for a revolt, only trying to secede with a small area in mind. You are trying to defend land, not take it. So the less amount of land you gotta defend, the less stretched out your troops will be, and the less big your army has to be. It's all about the waiting game during a revolt. You just get the money and beat them down till they forget why they're that you were once a part of them. So, and with the revolt route, get in touch with some other separatist groups, Sons of Liberty, Bolsheviks, people who also might not like your current government, one that you can promise all the stuff. Whether you give them that stuff is totally up to you, but you can promise them that, say, follow me and I will give you the world. So, let's say you went the revolt route, and by some miracle, successfully revolted. And for the sake of simplicity, we're gonna say you're going with the United States. Split off from the United States, I mean. This will be important later, so hope you keep that in mind. Part 2, governing. So even if you're the power bottom and the twink dictator for the ages, you're gonna need more people than yourself in the government. Governors for subdivisions, advisors for the shit you don't know anything about, diplomats for dealing with other countries, military personnel for keeping the public at bay, stuff like that. All I can really say is on that, make sure they're loyal and make sure they're good. You don't want incompetency, and you want them to be loyal to you. You as a person. Not to the state, or else you could risk a coup yourself. So that is, something to keep in mind. You also, if we're gonna keep this whole femboy country shtick going, we might also want to make sure, they're of the trans or femboy or LGBT variety. Maybe put some straight people in there, but just for representation, but you don't have to. Still, make sure they're qualified. That is like a big thing. I can't highly stress that enough. Make sure your personnel are qualified for the job they're doing. And loyal. Especially the loyal. Now, for the boring shit. Building, real nation building stuff. Paying your soldiers. Implementing the stuff you promised to the people. Putting a fair and reasonable tax. Stuff like that. You don't have to do it in the way that I told you, but something. That, yes. Anyway, here comes the more fun stuff, like creating your flag and state seal. Put some pretty colors, maybe a star on there to represent freedom, all that stuff. And, maybe even, design your soldiers' uniforms, put thigh highs on there, make the world know that you are the most fashionable army in the world. Covers up governing. On to diplomatics. So, here's where we get into the stuff. So, what defines a country as a country is if other countries or states recognize you. Because if they don't recognize you, you can end up in like a Taiwan situation, which is really not the best place to be in. Where you govern yourself, but no other countries recognize you, and you're at fear of, retaliation by the country you split off from. It's messy stuff, and you don't want to get swept up in that. In the case that the recognize you split apart off, recognizes you, good job. This section doesn't really matter. But this is the part where the country you split off from matters. Because which country you split off from will, limit yourself of allies and stuff. So, our example is the United States of America. Now, the last country to try to secede from the United States of America did not turn out so well. But we are not those southern bigots. We are femboys. So we win by some miracle. God just likes us that much. And there's two things that might happen once we win the war. The U.S. recognizes us in a peace treaty, and we get recognized by all the world because they have no reason not to. The second one, which is not good, is the U.S. doesn't recognize us, but there's an armistice, so technically we're at peace. We would need to ally with some country that doesn't like the United States to recognize us and get that boost. There's one problem with that, though. All the countries that the United States does not like gay people. And since this is basically kind of a gayocracy, yeah, we're basically fucked if the second option. Now, luckily for us, the US does have a streak of this whole governing themselves thing. So, likelihood is if they give up for good. Okay, they might say it was a, they wanted to. They wanted to give us independence, but really we just beat them down. We beat them good. And hey, if your area is an economic is a prosperous economic area, then you might get a good ally from the country you split off from. Because, well, losing trade with you might wreck the economy a lot. So, yeah, that's how you make a country, kid. Follow it. I want to see femboy come to life. Or else I'll do it myself. If you made it to the end of the video, please like and sub. To hear more of my rambling. This is like my second take, and I don't want to do another take. I know I kind of stumble a lot, but this is my first time doing something like this. This is just a little joke video. Hope you enjoyed it. I have a Twitch and TikTok. Please check those out. Anyways,